Raven, aside from having to talk to this guy, how's your day going so far?
Good. I see you got a Black Sabbath shirt. Is that correct?
Yeah, classic lineup.
I can't see other than the black with it, but it's in their font. Let me see what the shirt is.
Oh, it's it's your typical Old Navy Gap Black Sabbath shirt, but I can name all the incarnations of the band. And we learned from your new podcast, you know a lot about music too.
Yeah. I was quite an aficionado, but I always hated deep cuts. Like I was not a fan of the deep cut. Because I'm like, if it was a hit, if it was that good a song, it'd be a hit.
Black Sabbath is a funny one where they went on much longer than they should have. You know, had they just broken up in say 79 and then come back in 96, everyone would have made more money and the output would have been better. But that's just my take.
Yeah, but Heaven and Hell was a great album.
If you called it a different band and not Black Sabbath.
No, I mean, you know, because Ozzy was on his solo act then, and so it wasn't like Ozzy was out off the marketplace, you know.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. Before I ask you about, MLW and the Raven effect and all that, on the Ozzy end, have you delved into the credits of what was actually written and not actually written by Ozzy over the years?
No.
Okay, so you take a song like Mama, I'm Coming Home, which was the lyrics were written by Lemmy from Motorhead. He just took a paycheck and wrote it. And then Ozzy doesn't play any instruments that we know of. And in Black Sabbath, the lyrics were written by Geezer Butler in most cases.
I thought didn't Ozzy write War Pigs though?
I thought Geezer Butler wrote most of the Black Sabbath lyrics. And then in the first 2 albums or so of Ozzy's band, the bassist Bob Daisley wrote the lyrics. So it's like, what did Ozzy do?
Wait, who? What bassist?
Bob Daisley. Sharon replaced his bass on the Ozzy stuff so they wouldn't have to pay them royalties. Yeah.
Don't they have enough money?
I think over time they made enough money, but not my area to judge. What my area to judge, are you ready for a compliment?
Yes, I love compliments.
Okay. I don't know how many performers have been on international television as many years as you have, because obviously the time with WWE, WCW, TNA, MLW, ECW, etc., you're in very, very rare company. So how does that feel to know that you have more hours on television than, say, Jennifer Aniston?
That's pretty cool, but I've always known that I had a lot of hours because it's weekly. Wrestling's weekly, but it's yearly. There's no off season. There's no summer hiatus. But I also spent, if you count Florida Championship Wrestling in Memphis and Portland, there's another 4 years of weekly TV. So yeah, I know I got a ton of hours. I got 35 years in this business.
And still going strong, and it's great to see in MLW.
36 really, but 35 full time. Well, 35 is a living.
That we know of, but it's fantastic to see that you're back in MLW because you had some classic matches there in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I really liked MLW. I was telling this to another interview that they were ECW styled, but they didn't make the bold claims like others that we are the new ECW. You know what I mean? Yeah. They knew where they were positioned, and they were cool with it. They weren't trying to over brag or try and claiming something they weren't. Because ECW was it's like Woodstock. Everybody claims they were there, but there's no way. There's no way everybody's seen was there at every show. Or otherwise it'd be a billion people that saw it. The programming of the show, we would have better ratings than if everybody that claims they watched the show.
Yeah, it's to me like Fugazi, where when Fugazi broke up, they were probably playing to about 1,200 people, but everyone is this diehard Fugazi fan, and you go, oh, okay. But in the case of ECW, here on Long Island, I remember it was playing at the Freeport Rec Center. That was like the local venue, which is like 600-700 people. And of course, at the end of ECW was doing big arenas on the West Coast and that kind of a thing. But the folklore just keeps growing and growing, and it's cool to see that you're embracing it by being on Brian Myers's podcast.
Yeah, no, I love the ECW, my ECW heritage. You know, I mean, they were so influential for 2 years. There was a 2 year period when, and luckily it coincided with the 2 years I was there originally. But it was the most influential company. Like it changed so many things that happened in the business differently because of ECW than would have occurred otherwise. You know, back then they gave clean finishes, and ECW refused to give anything but clean finishes. You know, and that changed the business. You know, it changed it in so many ways how it was presented. But ironically, a lot of stuff they got from Memphis and from FMW, but it was Paulie's brilliance to take those influences and make it his own special thing.
And it's also remarkable about you. You seem to be cool with everybody. And by that, I mean the people from the ECW era like you, the people from the Impact Wrestling like you, the people from the current era respect you. You're one of those handful of people that you say Raven and people are excited no matter the age, the era, or what their wrestling preference is. And
well,
that
except the wrestlers.
I thought it was the wrestlers. I mean, you're cool with DDP.
No, I'm kidding. I was known for being a bit of an asshole back in the day. So, you know, I've grown and changed as a person, but, you know, so hopefully people recognize that. But I was a bit of an asshole back in the day. Not intentionally, but just, it was my own way of, you know, it's like, I had a lack of self-worth. So I had to be an egomaniac. You know, because if I could convince other people I was great, then maybe I would convince myself. You know, so egotism was really a huge problem for me.
Right. But as you said,
now I'm content. You know, now I'm cool with it. You know, with who I am.
But when we call you a wrestling legend, that's selling short the fact that you've been podcasting now for probably 5-6 years. You've done stand-up related stuff. I saw you on the Jericho Cruise do your great one-liner act. And you've crossed over into a way that it might be a little demeaning to just call you wrestling legend because you're still active today.
Well, thank you, I guess. Thank you.
Well, your Twitter bio says that you're semi-retired or you're lazy or that kind of a thing. But the podcast, it seems to be once a week.
Yeah, it's once a week. It's a shit show. We put no effort into it, which is what makes it so entertaining. It's you know, if I didn't do it, I would listen to it. You know, because it's entertaining. You know, it entertains me anyway. I mean, we have a loyal, you know, thousands of, you know, 10,000, I don't know, 1,000 listeners. You know, for a weekly thing for 5 years, that's pretty good. You know, we can make money on the commercials and the ads. You know, and we try to make the ad reads as funny as we can, you know, because I know people hate ad reads. You know, I tend to fast forward to a podcast. You know, I skip ahead when I'm listening to a podcast and the ads come up. But yeah, I try to make it as entertaining as I can. But I'm really happy about my MLW stuff coming up.
Right. Well, before I ask you about the MLW stuff coming up, the only person whose ad reads that I won't miss are Cornette's, because he's basically demeaning the advertisers in the middle of it, and his co-host has to tell him to stop doing that. So there's always that option for you as well.
Yeah, having the money that comes in. I don't want to demean the product.
Well, anyway, yeah, back to MLW. What's coming up for you with MLW?
I can't really say what the storyline is and the plotting and all that, but it's really, I'm not just saying it because I'm in it. Like I would say, oh, it's good. It's really good stuff. Like if I didn't mean it, just being disingenuous, but being genuine about it, it really is fucking cool. Like I'm really happy with it, you know, which is nice because, you know, I get to revisit something I created, you know, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. I don't know when it was.
Paltrocast.